Hi guys, today we'll discuss about with expert level SQL interview questions. So let's look into first question. How do you analyze and optimize complex queries? So to analyze and optimize complex queries are mainly use the explain or explain plan command, explain command or explain plan command to understand the query, the execution path, and check for expensive operations like full table scans or nested loops. Optimize by adding appropriate indexes, breaking complex queries into smaller, simpler subqueries, reducing the use of correlated subqueries, using indexed views or materialized views for pre-computed results, and avoid selecting unnecessary columns or rows, etc. So there is the how do you analyze and optimize the complex queries. Next, what is the difference between database replication and database mirroring? Replication is mainly duplicates data across multiple servers. That is the replication, like allowing for multiple copies that can be read and write independently. So use case called as the load balancing. And mirroring. Mirroring is mainly it maintains a real-time copy of a database on another server for high availability. So use case disaster recovery. That is the mirroring. Next, what are indexed views and when should they be used? Indexed views are mainly views with unique clustered index, storing the views result set physically on disk. When to use? So when to use is frequently query, complex aggregations or joins, performance bottlenecks in calculating the results dynamically. So this is the example for indexed views. So create view name with uh, name as this one. Okay, clustered indexed views. So next, explain the concept of temporal tables in SQL. So temporal tables are mainly automatically track and maintain historical changes in data. They consist of two ways: system version temporal tables, history tables. System version temporal tables are to stores current and historical data. History table called as it stores older version of rows. So for this use case called as mainly audit trials and data recovery. Next, what is the difference between a distributed database and a centralized database? Distributed database is mainly data is stored across multiple locations, improving availability and fault tolerance. Whereas centralized database called as all the data resides in a single location, simplifying maintenance but risking a single point of failure. Next, how do you implement database version control in SQL? So database version control called as use the tools like Git, Flyway, or Liquibase to manage the schema changes. So steps are mainly first step number one is to maintain a schema migration script repository. Second step is use the version numbers for tracking changes. Third step is automate deployments with CI/CD pipelines. Next, what are execution plans in SQL and how do you analyze them? An execution plan is a visual or textual representation of how a database engine is executes a query. So steps to analyze. So steps to analyze is step number one is identify slow performing operations. Example, full table scans. Second step is look for missing indexes or joins causing any bottlenecks. Third step is optimize using indexed columns and rewriting the queries. Next, what is the purpose of explain command in SQL? The explain command provides insights into a query execution strategy, showing join types, example, nested loop, hash, join, uh, and another one is index usage and estimated cost of operations. So these things. How does columns store indexing work? Column store indexing work. Column store indexes store the data in columns instead of rows, enabling faster query performance for analytical workloads. Advantages are mainly high compression, optimized for aggregation queries. So use case is mainly data warehousing. Next, what are some techniques to handle millions of rows in queries efficiently? So this one mainly different points we had to cover here. So first of all, use partitioning to divide the data. And second, implement indexes, that is clustered and non-clustered. Then third point, avoid select star, fetch only necessary columns. And fourth point, use batch processing for updates or deletes. Then fifth point will say, leverage the query hints to guide the optimizer. So these points will have to take care to handle the millions of rows in the query efficiently to process. What are database locks and how do they affect performance? So locks are mainly to ensure data consistency during the transactions by controlling concurrent access. So the impact is mainly high contention can lead to slower performance or deadlocks. So these types are mainly locks, shared lock, exclusive lock, intent locks. Next, what are database deadlocks and how can they be resolved? So deadlock occurs when two transactions hold resources the other needs, preventing the progress. So resolution is mainly use the consistent ordering of resource access, implement transaction timeouts, use the tools to monitor and kill the deadlock causing the transactions. Next thing is, next question. What is polyglot persistence and how does it relate to SQL databases? Polyglot persistence is using different types of databases for specific use cases. Example, SQL for the relational data, NoSQL for unstructured data. So relation is mainly SQL databases may coexist with NoSQL systems in polyglot architectures. And last question, what are some best practices for designing a scalable database schema? So best practices mainly, first we'll say normalize the data to reduce redundancy. And second thing, use partitioning and sharding for large data sets. Then third thing, design primary keys thoughtfully for indexing. And fourth point, we'll say include proper constraints for data integrity. And lastly, we'll say regularly review and optimize the indexes. So these are all the expert level SQL interview questions and answers. So thank you. Thank you for watching. If you like the content, please like and subscribe.